Good afternoon, families. It is Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, and this is our late but happening Turtle Talk vlog for last week and into this week with the parent-teacher conferences for the week of the 17th. First, right off the bat, our top two for this week are we have no school this week, Thursday and Friday. That's October 20th and 21st because of conferences. So I believe as of the filming of this, I believe all but one of you have signed up for parent-teacher conferences. I've had a few emails requesting a Zoom for those, and that's just fine. So if that is the case or something comes up and Zoom is preferable, please just let me know. That's great. Second, if you haven't noticed, it's cold. The cold air has super pushed in and it is crazy and windy. And so it's just a super reminder to dig out all of those warm weather things, hats, gloves, scarves, snow pants or long underwear, all the things that keep us warm as it is very cold outside, and we still go outside because that fresh air is so good for our bodies in the middle of our day for recess. So please make sure you are dressing appropriately and super snug because burr. So vlog points for the week. This last week and into this 3-day week in Phonics, we've been working on finishing up and then starting a review of our first 3 weeks of material, which includes letter identification, letter sounds, and writing for letters N, P, T, L, and J. So that's going to go fairly well. At conferences, I'm going to be sending home a visual alphabet 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that kind of shows you what our picture symbols and letters look like for students. So you have an idea of kind of what this looks like here at school and how we're connecting specific pictures to letters and letter sounds to help with students as something to remember. In writing, we learned about how when we craft a story as a writer, we want to leave readers wanting more. So when we write a story, you want the reader to get to the end of a page that you've written and you almost leave them kind of like hanging, right? You don't know what's coming next. And that makes the reader want to know, well, what happens next? What's on the next page? And as a writer, how we craft that is to make readers want to know what happens. It's a writing trick. And it makes, sometimes you add more detail in the pictures, and sometimes it leads to needing a second page. Writers sometimes write stories that need more than one page to tell. And that's a wonderful problem to have, because when you have a story so good that other people just want to know what happens next, it makes you want to write more. So there's that. In reading, we've been looking at books and how when we read books, sometimes you find there's a page or a picture that is the coolest or the best, and we call that like a wow picture. And we learned that we can mark those with a yellow Post-it, and that helps you remember that there's something specific that you think is amazing. And we've paired that then with what's called a turn and talk, where you take a short break in the middle of reading independently and you buddy up with one person, sometimes more, depending on how that works out, and you share your wow picture. You share the thing that you think is the coolest in the book. And that helps students identify either interesting moments, pivotal pictures. It's usually when there's like a cool picture because something's changing in the story. But it also then helps us internalize and bring that full circle into our writer's workshop, where we take those cool idea pictures that we saw in someone else's book and go, I can make something like that in my own story. So practicing how you share with a partner quickly and then hop back into your own reading. In math, we have learned about thinking about objects as groups or sets. So we've talked about classification by 1 or 2 or 3 different ways: size, color, shape, length. But now we're looking at objects as a group or a set. So think of like a knife, a fork, and a plate, and a spoon. Like when you think about setting a table, you need all those things, right? Or another way to think about that would be if we were working with let's see, getting dressed for going outside, right? You need a coat, a hat, snow pants, boots, things like how you identify a group of objects because they are all part of a greater whole. We've also then looked at understanding and recognizing what zero is, that zero is a countable number. I see zero things, and then how to write numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and draw a picture that represents that same number. So if I was writing a number 5, I might draw 5 fish that I can then double check and count. In our caterpillar news, we have released a sum total of 4 caterpillars, and I think that's actually going to be all. While we were looking at and identifying our chrysalis, I discovered that we had a stowaway in our butterfly enclosure. I found a spider who I think had been having just a wonderful time to himself. And alas, from our 11 caterpillars, I believe only 4 actually made it into chrysalis and have emerged as butterflies. But thus, so is the way of nature. So unless something changes, I believe we've released all 4, and just in time too, because the weather got cold. Last but not least, we have started our second chapter book, which is called Toy Dance Party, and it is the continuing adventures of our famous and very familiar stuffed animal friends in our first story, Toys Go Out. So in our most recent news, let's see, Stingray went to the movies and saw a movie called Princess Daisy Sparkle, in which she then wanted to relive that. And it turns out that most of the other toys didn't like being told what to do or how to play, something we've actually talked about in our own playtime in our classroom. And they had to work through how to talk nicely to each other. And there was even a fight, and that had to be resolved by using their words and talking through things. Things that we do right in our own classroom, so it's pretty amazing. So that said, we have conferences coming up. I do look forward to seeing all of you for conferences. You may have heard, I've pulled a muscle in my back, which makes it extraordinarily hard right now to even get up or walk, which is pretty rough. So I have seen a doctor. I am working on just taking it slow and doing all sorts of stretches to not have that be an issue. But I do, as of right now, I look forward to seeing you at conferences, at school, if that is what you have chosen. I will find the world's most ergonomic and comfortable chair that I can. The chair I was sitting in was not. And I can't wait to talk to you about your kiddo and all the wonderful things that they have learned so far, and talk through any things that you might have that you'd like to talk about. So I hope this finds you well. I hope it finds you warm. And I hope you are healthy. And I will see you in the next Turtle Talk vlog. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks. Bye.